Hello and welcome to class number 17 of the UPSC 2024 Prelims Quick Revision Series. Very happy to see all of you continuing with this series and revising these topics quickly. Once again, we are with environment topics that have been in the news. Also reminding you, in case you want the PDF of these lectures, you can join the Telegram channel. The link I have given in the description of this video, where I will upload all the PDFs of the lectures that I do here. Also, make sure you do hit the subscribe button and invite your other friends as well to take advantage of all these ongoing series and other initiatives such as the mains answer writing and the PSIR initiative on this channel. Let's begin quickly without any further wait because you don't have a lot of time. News number 171 is the discovery of a new bacteria that helps in the plant growth. There is an interesting name given to this bacteria, that is Pentotagori. Now, as the name suggests, this has been named after no one other than Rabindranath Tagore. So it's named after Rabindranath Tagore, the reason being that it has been discovered in the Vishwa Bharati University. Vishwa Bharati University, as you know, was founded by Rabindranath Tagore, and that is why the discovery of the bacteria made here has been named after him. As I said, the significant part is that it is a bacteria that helps in the growth of plants immensely. It's described as a plant growth promoting bacteria. Also, it has demonstrated capabilities in boosting the cultivation of crops such as paddy, tea as well as chili. It can be isolated from other environments as well, and that is why, because it can be isolated, it can be used specifically for certain purposes. That is what makes it a very important discovery going forward. It extracts potassium from the soil, thus enhances the plant growth. Also, it facilitates solubilization of both potassium and phosphorus, nitrogen fixation, and all the other points of importance that the plant needs for its growth. Its positive impact has been known to boost crop yield in a variety of crops. What will it do? How will it help? It will help in reducing the dependence on fertilizers. It will also help in going forward and achieving the idea of sustainable growth in our agriculture. Now, it is a form of biofertilizer. What exactly are biofertilizers? These are biological products, means they have living organisms that when used in plants, when used in soil, etc., are capable of promoting plant growth in some way. Either they increase the supply of nutrients, they increase the root biomass, the area of the root, that is helping the root extract more minerals from the soil. They can increase nutrient uptake capacity of the plants as well. Some of the examples of such biofertilizers include rhizobium, azotobacter, phosphobacteria, etc. Do remember some of these examples. Next important news is tapioca plants, also known as cassava. The news is that they are considered now to be very harmful to cattle. The reason is the Central Tuber Crops Research Institute has issued an advisory that this should not be fed to cattle. So the reason is, in Kerala, 13 cows had died in a farm after they were given some parts of this plant to eat. Now, this is a very common practice. Farmers who grow this plant, some parts of this plant, they just feed to their cattle for their food. But it has been found to have a disastrous impact with 13 cows dying out of it. Tapioca, as you know, is consumed in a lot of different things. You also consume it. It basically is used in breads, in alcoholic beverages also. It's a tuberous root that has a lot of different cultivations. It goes up to 3 meters tall and it is usually seen in well-drained, warm and humid climates. It's seen in Asia as well as Africa. The plant leaves and the peels are used for animal feed, before which all the toxins are removed. But again, this is something that the CTCRI has advised against. They are saying that it may not be possible to remove all the toxins and it is leading to death of cows as well. Next important news, a wetland city accreditation. What exactly is this? In 2015, there was a new idea started along with the Ramsar Convention. As you know, the Ramsar Convention identifies the wetlands around the entire world which have significance. Since 2015, certain cities that have been taking great steps in preserving their own wetlands, they have been given wetland city accreditation. So it's kind of a certificate that yes, you have been doing a very good job in preserving your wetlands. Why is it in the news? Because our Ministry of Environment has proposed the name of 3 cities to be given this accreditation. Which are these 3 cities? Indore, Bhopal and Udaipur. Indore, Bhopal and Udaipur, these 3 have been proposed, or their names rather have been proposed by our Ministry of Environment, saying that these have done a tremendous job in preserving their own wetland. It is a part of Amrit Dharohar initiative. As you know, the Amrit Dharohar initiative proposes or propagates the idea of conservation of Ramsar sites across the entire country. This accreditation part started in 2015 during COP12 of the Ramsar Convention. The aim is to promote conservation and the wise use of urban and peri-urban wetlands. This accreditation, when it is given to certain cities, it is valid for only 6 years time period. It encourages the cities to have good measures or to take drastic improvement in preserving their wetlands, which are of international importance specifically. Let's look at these cities one by one. First, Indore. Very famous city, especially famous because of its cleanliness and usually tops India's cleanliness index. It's a city that was founded by the Holkars. It is home to a very famous Sirpur Lake, which is a Ramsar site. It has been recognized as an important site for bird congregation as well. Over 200 wetland mitra, that is the volunteers etc., have been engaging in bird conservation nearby these lakes. Forward Bhopal, again one of the cleanest cities in India. It is home to Bhoj wetland, that is called as the city's lifeline. It has been seen to be a model for how to preserve wetlands, not just in India but around the entire world. The Bhopal Municipal Corporation also has a dedicated lake conservation cell as well, to make sure that all the efforts towards the conservation of wetlands are directed in one single direction. Then there is Udaipur. Udaipur, already known as a lake city. It is surrounded by 5 major wetlands: Pichola, Fateh Sagar, Rang Sagar, Sarup Sagar and the Doodh Talai. An integral part of why a lot of people visit Udaipur around the entire year. It's an integral part of the city's culture and identity as well. Next is news number 174. This news is regarding the Humboldt Enigma. I'm sure you would have read about Humboldt Enigma in your GS classes. Just in case you don't know, let me tell you in simple terms what exactly is this. The common assumption is that areas around the earth where you see significant amount of sunlight, they are the areas which would be more biodiverse. Basically, the areas where you have more sunlight, you will have more species of plants and animals existing. So these would be the most biodiverse areas, which is not false. If you go nearby the tropical areas around the entire world, these are some of the most biodiverse areas. However, there are certain exceptions. This is where Humboldt's Enigma comes into the picture. Humboldt's Enigma says, if you look at some of the tallest mountains in the world, where you will not have a lot of sunlight, even they have very rich biodiversity. How is that possible? This question is called the Humboldt's Enigma. Enigma means basically an unsolved riddle. So no one really knows how exactly is it that areas which don't have a lot of sunlight, such as the high mountain areas, how do they support so enhanced biodiversity? This is the idea of Humboldt's Enigma. It is named after Alexander von Humboldt, who was the one who gave this question. That is, the conventional notion that tropical regions with very good sunlight will be the primary center of biodiversity. But despite having less sunlight and much colder temperatures, mountain ecosystems also have exceptional biodiversity. How is that possible? Humboldt, while he was making his observation, he basically based his observation on the famous Chimborazo mountain in Ecuador. It has become one of the most important centers of biodiversity in the entire world, where now experts from all around the world go to this mountain to study how is it that in such cold temperatures also we still have a lot of biodiversity intact. Now, there are various reasons as per the experts because of which such biodiversity is seen in these mountainous areas as well. For example, number 1, there is a varied topography. Mountains are not only supposed to be snow-capped. There are snow-capped mountains and then there are sheltered valleys in between as well. Thus, it provides an ideal opportunity for various types of species to coexist. Also, isolation. Mountains are those places in the world where still you will not see a very heavy footfall, you will not see a lot of people living there. Thus, lot of species enjoy this isolation. They don't really have any threat of external outside interference, so they can preserve their own biome. And that is why we see a lot of biodiversity in mountainous areas. For example, the Hawaiian Islands, which are home to many endemic species, have developed because of their isolation from the mainland. For example, let's say you go to Andaman Nicobar Islands. Now, Andaman Nicobar Islands have a lot of forest. You will see in those forests there's a lot of biodiversity. The reason being low footfall, low outside interference, although now this is changing drastically. It has a dynamic landscape. For example, the glacier retreats, reshape the mountains, they create opportunities for new species to come up, to evolve and to make their space. What about India? India, as you know, is blessed with a lot of mountain ranges, especially the Himalayas, in which the eastern Himalayas are considered as a prime example of Humboldt's enigma. As per the World Wildlife Fund, that is WWF, eastern Himalayas have thousands of different species, 10,000 plants, 9,000 bird species, etc. As you know, lot of medicinal plants having great medicinal value are also found in the Himalayan ranges. Not just this, the grasslands that is on the foothills of the Himalayas, they are home to dense population of Bengal tigers, ancient Asian elephants and one-horned rhinos as well. Then you see other animals such as the snow leopards, red pandas. I've seen the red pandas. When you go to Darjeeling, you can see red pandas also. There are a lot of different sanctuaries where you will be able to visit them. Next, 175. There is a new vulture restaurant that has been opened up in Jharkhand. Now, before you get confused, vulture restaurant does not mean where you go and you will be served vultures to eat. No, it's the opposite. Vulture restaurant means vultures will be the customer. So, as you know, there has been a very significant effort from the side of the government to stop the decline of vulture population in India. So, vulture population is declining due to various reasons. One big reason is vultures basically thrive, they eat dead animals, their bodies, their carcasses. These dead animals, when the vultures consume, these animals would have eaten a lot of medicines in their own lifetime. These medicines were not digested. When vultures eat the flesh, they also ingest that medicine and that harms the vultures immensely. So the biggest and the most significant of these medicines is diclofenac. Diclofenac is a normal painkiller that is given to a lot of animals, and when they die and their body is consumed by vultures, they also die due to kidney failure. Now, a lot of these medicines have now been banned to be given to livestock, to animal stock. Now, this attempt of vulture restaurant is to make sure that they can have a place where the vultures can feed on dead animals, where the dead animals will not have any residue of the medicines. So it's kind of a safe place for the vultures to come and thrive and to feast. The idea is to mitigate the negative effect of veterinary drugs, especially on the vultures. As I said, exposure to drugs such as diclofenac, etc. has led to kidney failure in the vultures. This is not the first restaurant of its kind. Do remember that. There have been other vulture restaurants in the past as well. The first such vulture restaurant, remember, came up in 2015 at the Fansad Wildlife Sanctuary in Raigad in Maharashtra. There are 4 other such vulture restaurants to say that have already been set up in Maharashtra. What is the state of vultures in India? There are different species. Vultures have or belong to category of 22 large scavenging birds. Scavenging means birds or animals that eat other dead animals. India is home to 9 species of vultures. Their conservation status as per CITES are in appendix number 2, and in the Wildlife Protection Act of 1972, that is the Indian law, Schedule 1 has these vultures, while other vultures are put in Schedule number 4. So do remember this part as well. Next, the idea of brumation. What exactly is brumation? The simple idea is when the temperatures decrease, when we enter the cold weather, the reptiles They reduce their metabolic activity, they reduce their physical activity. Why? Because during the winters, the reptiles don't have enough food. So because they don't have enough food, they don't have a lot of energy to spend. So they try to conserve their energy. How do they conserve their energy? By reducing their metabolism, by not going out much, by keeping inside much longer. This is called brumation. It's very similar to hibernation. Hibernation is done by mammals. Brumation is done by reptiles. That is the difference. So remember, hibernation, similar thing, that's done by mammals. Brumation is something that is done or that is experienced amongst the reptiles during the cold weathers. Low metabolism, slow metabolism, lesser activity, reduced eating. Again, the historical context is that when the cold winter comes in, the availability of food reduces. So they have to make do with lesser food. And how do they do that? To reduce their demand for food. That is what brumation is. To remember, the purpose is to conserve energy, survive in harsh environmental conditions. They go underground, under the rocks. They bury underground. They basically dig in burrows where they hide and try to hide there. They slow down their metabolism. In fact, they slow it down to such a large extent that they may go for weeks or even months without eating anything. That is how it helps them in the long run, and we are entering that period now. Researchers have observed that many reptiles observe this behavior or display this behavior rather whenever the cold winter comes in. For example, box turtles, painted turtles, etc. All of them go into that mud at the bottom of the ponds or lakes and don't come out for many days. They don't really have the need to consume anything because of low expenditure of their energy, and they try to preserve all that energy. It's also considered as a survival strategy so that they can survive in cold weathers. Their body may not be used to these harsh conditions, so they try and basically preserve all that heat as much as possible. Whenever the conditions, that is the weather conditions, become better, more favorable, they usually come out in the open in search for food and resume their normal day-to-day activities. Next important news. Now this is important for both prelims and mains examination. The government of India for the past few years has been trying to see what other alternative sources of income can we have for the farmers. The government made a very ambitious plan of doubling the farmers' income, which has not happened. Now, doubling the farmers' income does not mean that you double the prices of all the commodities that the farmers grow. Because if you double the price of all the commodities, then it will hurt the end consumer. So when the government says you want to double the farmers' income, it's not really about increasing the prices. It's about diversifying the things that farmers do. One of the things that the government is doing is pushing the farmers towards seaweed cultivation. And in that respect, Union Minister of Fisheries had chaired the first national conference on promotion of seaweed cultivation in Gujarat. Seaweed cultivation is seen as a major achievement or a major mission of the government. Number one, to increase the income of the farmer. Number two, to use this as an export commodity as well, because it has a lot of applications, both medicinal applications and other applications as well. And it has a lot of demand around the entire world, not just in India. What exactly are seaweed? Let's try to understand. They are macroscopic multicellular marine algae. They have different colors, red, green, brown, depending on their composition. They are regarded as a medical food of the 21st century. As you know, they usually grow in shallow waters and in deep waters of the sea as well. They are seen in backwaters also. Large seaweeds form the dense underwater forest. These underwater forests are called as a kelp forest. Do remember that as well. India has a good amount of cultivation of seaweed. About 844 seaweed species are reported from India in different parts, and all of them have various applications. Where is it grown in India? We usually see this along Tamil Nadu and Gujarat coast, along with that Lakshadweep, Andaman Nicobar Islands. Then we also have seaweed beds, means specific places where seaweed is grown around Mumbai, Ratnagiri, Goa, Karwar, Varkala. All these are places where we see seaweed being grown in large numbers by different farmers. What exactly is the significance of these seaweeds? Number one, they are important as bioindicators. Now, what do you mean bioindicators? Bioindicator is something that can indicate or that can tell you the quality of water. For example, these bioindicators or these seaweed, they absorb excessive nutrients in the water with which they change color, and thus they indicate that there is a chemical composition of water that has gone off balance. So they indicate about the chemical composition, they tell us about the harm that has been caused by the waste that has been put into the water by agriculture, industries, etc. They also ensure that they restore ecosystem balance. They are also called as a very important food source. They are a source of vitamins, minerals, and dietary fibers as well. It's used in multiple food products from sushi to salads to snacks, etc. They are used in wide variety of products, cosmetics, pharmaceutical, bioplastics. They can be an answer to a lot of these sustainable growth problems, and that is why the government sees this as a great opportunity in India and around the world. They absorb excessive carbon dioxide from the atmosphere, so it can also be the government's way of achieving its climate change goal. As you know, the government of India has been trying to create a huge carbon sink where excessive carbon can be absorbed. This is also where seaweeds can come in. They can absorb carbon for very, very long term. Because they are in high demand in India and outside as well, farmers who are engaging in its cultivation can also use this as an alternate source of income. Other benefits also include usage in laxative, that means when you try and stick something or bind something, pharmaceutical capsules. You know, when you consume something, let's say medicine in the form of a capsule, the important medicine is inside the capsule. Basically, when you eat it, capsule gets dissolved in your body and it doesn't have a side effect. So that capsule material has to be specially built in such a manner that it does not harm your body and it is dissolved almost instantly. This is also where seaweed becomes extremely important. There have been evidences in the past that maybe ancient Egyptians may have used that as a treatment for breast cancer as well. It has not been proven, but again, there are some claims that it might have had application in the past in other parts of the world and other civilizations as well. The government of India has realized this, and that is why in India we already have a seaweed mission. The mission is that the government of India aims to increase cultivation of seaweed along our 7,500 kilometer long coastline. We have also been trying to run multiple programs to encourage cultivation and market for seaweed. See, in all these things, seaweed, etc., when something new comes up, you can't just keep on encouraging the farmers. You have to work on both supply side and the demand side. Supply side is tell the farmers how to grow it, make conditions where the companies can come invest money in this cultivation. But again, on the demand side, you have to tell the people. Common consumer has to be educated that see, this is a good thing for you, you have to buy it. So it has to be on both the sides. So government of India is working on both. From the demand side, they're trying to raise awareness amongst the people about seaweed. Multi-purpose seaweed park has also been established in Tamil Nadu. That is also a good step in this direction. Next, the Niti Aayog started a new portal called the Grow Report and Portal. GROW stands for Greening India's Wasteland with Agroforestry. Simple, easy enough to understand. The wasteland, that is the area which is just used for dumping waste, it's a wasteland, there is no proper agriculture, there is no proper cultivation, it's just barren land. That should be revived, and the Niti Aayog is trying to revive that by agroforestry, means trying to grow forests that have an agricultural significance as well, means that can actually give fruit or that can actually give vegetables that can be sold in the market. That is the Grow project. The Grow project report aims to facilitate restoration of these lands and to ensure that we reach the national aim of land degradation restoration. The aim is to restore 26 million hectares of degraded land by 2030. When we do that, we'll also be able to achieve a carbon sink of 2.5 to 3 billion tons of CO2. It is important for India because the population pressure means we don't have a lot of land as such, and we can't afford to have any wasteland. If you look at the wasteland numbers, there is approximately 55.76 million hectares of wasteland in India. Close to 17% of India's total geographical area is wasteland. Imagine, close to 17% of our geographical land area is just wasteland. That is why we want to recapture it and use it for agroforestry. The report of Niti Aayog suggests greening and restoring these wasteland through agroforestry can have a great economic and environmental significance for India. Currently, agroforestry covers 8.65% of India's total geographical area, which is about 28.42 million hectares. ISRO says Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh and Telangana are the three large states that are doing very well in agroforestry. Among the smaller states, Jammu Kashmir, Manipur, Nagaland are also doing good. That is, ensuring that their wasteland is converted with the help of agroforestry. What about this portal? This portal is used to have a real-time update of how the states are converting their wasteland into agroforest. This Grow portal is hosted on the Bhuvam platform run by the Government of India. Users can access maps, assessment of agroforestry sustainable areas across the entire country. So if you want to see, for example, how much progress has been made in Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh, Chhattisgarh, you can go to this portal and you will be able to see all those details. It utilizes the data from remote sensing and geographical information system technology. So ISRO also plays an important role here by propagating and sending all this data. The Niti Aayog has also started the Agroforestry Sustainability Index. This index will help us objectively measure the progress that we have made towards achieving our goal in our fight against climate change and attaining the sustainable development goals. Now, there have been certain wildlife sanctuaries, national parks, tiger reserves that have been in the news for various reasons. The UPSC does ask questions about these kind of places. They are very simple, straightforward, fact-based questions. So let's see a couple of those places that were in the news. 179, the Chinnar Wildlife Sanctuary. It was in the news. Why? Because Eurasian otter was discovered for the first time from Kerala in this sanctuary. This is a table for you to revise this quickly. All the information that the UPSC can ask in the prelims is in this table. So the Chinnar Wildlife Sanctuary is located in the Western Ghats, specifically in Idukki district of Kerala. It is filled with dry deciduous forest, rolling hills, cascading waterfalls. It is filled with sandalwood trees, ebony, bamboos. There are tribes such as the Muthuvan and the Hill Puliya tribes that are usually seen as inhabitants of this area. Apart from this, it is the only rehabilitation center for Indian star tortoise. It also contains largest megalithic site in Kerala, and a large part of the Anamalai Hills also exists here, which is a part of the UNESCO World Heritage Site. Similarly, another such important place in the news was the Nilgiri Biosphere Reserve. The reason is that there was a news of multiple tigers dying in the Nilgiri district, and that is why the Nilgiri Biosphere Reserve also becomes significant. Again, a table here. Nilgiri Biosphere Reserve is in the UNESCO World Heritage List since 2012. It was established in 1986. It's a part of Western Ghats and it spreads across Tamil Nadu, Kerala and Karnataka, so it's extremely wide. It is famous for montane sholas and greenlands, tropical evergreen forests, etc. It has many unique species of plants and animals that are found in this area. Animals such as Nilgiri Taha, Nilgiri Langur, Slender Loris, Blackbuck, etc. are found in this area. There are rivers also that go through this. Tributaries of Kaveri River such as Bhavani, Moyar, Kabini, etc. flow through this area. There are multiple tribal groups also that live in this area for many centuries. These are those tribal groups. The famous one, the Irulas, were a lot in the news. If you would have read, we have discussed about this earlier as well. They are native to this particular reserve. Do remember about this. Wherever there are some species, biosphere reserves, national parks, tiger reserves that are in the news, the UPSC does tend to ask questions based on this. We'll be discussing some more of this in the next few classes. This brings to the end of this class. If you want the PDF of this lecture, join the Telegram channel. The link is in the description of the video. I'll see you soon in the next one. Thank you so much. Bye bye. Jai Hind.